What's up, everybody? This is Ron Placone reporting for Status Coup. Bringing it back. Also, you know what? Enjoy this screen while you can, because I'm actually going to be getting rid of the screen soon. I don't need it for my new podcast 1000. So I think this screen's probably going to go. But anyway, you guys know that I have been talking a lot about the Kroger-Albertsons merger. Why? Because I consider it one of the biggest domestic stories happening right now, and virtually nobody's talking about it. So here's the cliff notes. Kroger, the major grocery chain, is trying to merge with Albertsons. Now, this would give them a huge market share of the grocery industry here in the United States, even bigger than they already have. And when are they trying to do this? Well, they're trying to do this during a time of astronomical grocery prices. We all know this. Grocery prices are through the roof. We're seeing an amount of price gouging and inflation that usually takes about 15 years. We've seen it in 3 or 4 years. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. One, and the biggest one, is price gouging by the monopolists who really run this country. Another reason is general inflation. Another reason is the pandemic. There's a list of reasons, but regardless, the main bullet point here, we are seeing prices rise in an amount that usually takes about 15 years. It's happened in just a few years. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. Wages have not followed, to the surprise of nobody. So people are really struggling right now. And I don't need to tell you this. You know this. You know this every time you go to a grocery store. And there are more and more Americans facing the decision, do I pay rent this month or do I get food? Folks, food is not a luxury item. You can't just decide I'm not going to eat this month. So the monopolists know this. They know you can't just bail on groceries. You need to eat. So Kroger is trying to merge with Albertsons, and some members of the FTC, fortunately, said, whoa, wait a second. I don't think so. That's too much. We can't let this happen. So here's the latest update. They're battling it out in the courts. Here's an update from a week ago, actually. This isn't the latest update. We have a more breaking update. Kroger executive admits company gouged prices above inflation. By the way, this barely got any coverage, but this happened about a week ago. It happened on August 28th. A top company leader at Kroger had admitted during an antitrust trial the company gouged prices on select items above inflation levels. While testifying to a Federal Trade Commission attorney Tuesday, Kroger senior director for pricing Andy Groff said the grocery giant had raised prices for eggs and milk. Remember that? Remember the price of eggs? Everyone was talking about it. Turns out it wasn't just inflation. They gouged it. This is not at all surprising, said Drew Powers, the founder of Illinois-based Powers Financial Group. Companies across multiple industries have been posting record profits since the COVID-19 crisis, while consumers have faced the highest inflation in recent history. The math can only point to companies raising prices above the general level of inflation. As the old saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. All right, so hold that thought. Here's an update from more recently. And boy, is this a doozy. This is what those same entities had to say very recently.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not.
Now to the possible $24 billion supermarket merger. Rhiannon Alley is here with the details. And Rhiannon, the CEO of Kroger, is now saying he will lower prices significantly if this deal goes through.
That's right, Michael. That's exactly what he's saying. And we know grocery prices continue to be a major concern for most Americans. And that CEO of a top supermarket chain, Kroger, as you just mentioned, is vowing to lower prices, but only if a proposed merger is approved. Now, the CEO is trying to save his company's proposed merger with rival Albertsons. The government wants to block the $24 billion merger because it claims it would eliminate competition and lead to higher food prices. But Kroger's CEO has told a court hearing that the merger would allow the companies to lower prices in an effort to compete with Walmart and Costco. And he's pledging to cut grocery prices by $1 billion on day one if that merger is approved. Now, grocery prices are a huge issue as we head into this election. Vice President Harris has said on the campaign trail that she will crack down on prices, while former President Trump has campaigned on inflation, reminding the public that grocery prices have increased by more than 20% under President Biden. Now, this court hearing on the proposed merger is expected to last through next week. So we'll see what happens, Robin.
We will see what happens. Here's the thing. So do you realize how comically absurd this is? The same entity that admitted in court that they were price gouging beyond inflation, and they're making record profits. We all know this. They're all making record profits. They're price gouging beyond inflation. They admitted to doing that. That same entity just said, "Oh, we're going to lower prices if you let our merger through. We promise." This is like mob-esque. Hey, we'll lower the grocery prices, but you got to let our merger through. You do something for me. Maybe I'll do something for you. When we say things like our government is under complete corporate capture, this is what we mean. That's not just a buzzword. That's not just a talking point. That's literally what's happening. We're seeing it play out right now. This is literally the definition of corporate capture. Here you have a corporatist going, "Oh yeah, we'll lower prices, but only if you let this merger through." And will we actually lower prices? I don't know, but you got to take my word for it. Do you trust this guy? This is the same guy who earlier admitted they were price gouging beyond inflation. And by the way, there have already been layoffs in anticipation of this merger. This merger would not lower grocery prices. This would increase grocery prices because that's why they're trying to merge right now. They're trying to merge now because they see this huge spike in grocery prices. So they want to lock it in. If you merge and you put people in a situation where they don't have a choice because you have such a high market share, you will lock high grocery prices in indefinitely. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They literally just admitted it. Now, here's another interesting component here that I think adds a little bit of particulars to it. So this is also happening simultaneously. A bunch of restaurants and chain restaurants in particular have been filing for bankruptcy over the past few years. Why are so many restaurants filing for bankruptcy? So I have a couple theories on this. Now, in the case of Red Lobster, there was some scam that some real estate company put them through. So Red Lobster's a little more complicated. But it's not just Red Lobster. There's a whole list of restaurants and chain restaurants filing for bankruptcy. Why is that? Well, food is not a luxury item. People need food or they die. However, going out to eat is a luxury item in comparison. People aren't going out to eat as much because they don't have freaking money. And chain restaurants are all about quantity and all about profit margins. Chain restaurants, it's not like a chain restaurant. The people who really run the chain restaurant, I'm not talking about the local managers who live in the community. I'm not talking about the employees. I'm talking about the owners, the people who decide whether or not a franchise goes under. Those people, for the most part, they're the people at the top, and they don't care about feeding their families off of this one restaurant or whatever. They just care about what are the profit margins looking like in insert town name here, insert state name here. And if it's not what they like, they close. That's how it works. So why are so many restaurants filing for bankruptcy? Well, because people don't have any money. So when there's places that are just focused on quantity and profits, they're not going to stay open. And mom and pops are struggling to stay open too. But for them, it's a little more complicated because those are members of your community that are just trying to put food on the table for themselves and their families, and they're just trying to be a community asset. So not trying to get on a soapbox, but if you can, when you do go out to eat, try to support a local establishment, try to support a mom and pop. Usually it's way better quality anyway. All right, so it's not been a great year for the dining industry, blah, 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 blah. So here's a list of all the restaurants, by the way. Other restaurants chains, this is in addition to Red Lobster. They always bring up Red Lobster because there was a real estate dispute there that really put them under. And maybe people are finally just over the cheddar biscuits. No, I'm just kidding. I know that's a point of controversy. Some people love them. Some people say they're gross. I I don't know. The last time I was at a Red Lobster was over 10 years ago. I don't really remember. But anyway, among the other restaurant chains to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, BurgerFi, Mod Pizza, Roti, Buco di Beppo. That was a surprising one. People love their Buco di Beppo. As an Italian-American, my reaction is just kind of a shrug. But hey, people love it. World of Beer, Rubio's, Kuba's Corner. I haven't heard of all these. Melt Bar and Grilled. Never heard of that. Sticky's Finger Joint, Tijuana Flats, and Boxer Ramen. Okay, I haven't heard of a lot of these, actually, which is a little interesting. Mod Pizza, I've heard of. Buca di Beppo, I've been to. Rubio's, I've heard of. That's it. The rest of these, I have never heard of or been to. And out of all these, the only one I've actually been to is Buca di Beppo. I don't know what that says about me one way or another, but it is just the reality. So the reason I bring that part up is it's an interesting time we're living in. When food prices are as high as they are, that bleeds into the restaurant industry, and that bleeds into people being able to go out to eat or not. Now, we have two classes in this country, basically. We have wealthy people and we have the working poor. That's it. We have no middle class. It's been eroded for 50 years. It's gone now. So you have the working poor and you have the wealthy. Who can afford to go out to eat? The wealthy. And wealthy people, they're probably not going to chain restaurants as often, generally speaking. So we're living in an interesting time where various oligarchs are stepping on each other's toes, aren't they? If grocery prices are going to be this high and grocery CEOs are going to see record profits, well, eventually that's going to cut into the chain restaurant industry because people can't afford to go out to eat. So I wonder what is going to give and when, because there's been no signs of anything stopping. More and more, they don't care who goes food insecure, by the way. I honestly think the only way this stops is if other oligarchs start feeling it. So I know that's a pretty bleak outlook where, hey, food prices might go down if all of the restaurant CEOs are worried that all their chains are going to go under, so they need people to have more disposable income to go out to eat. That's pretty freaking bleak, but that's a sad, sick reality. So we'll keep an eye on this court case. If this merger goes through, and again, Lena Khan and the FTC are the only things standing in between this. And there are donors pressuring Kamala Harris to fire Lena Khan. She has said she wouldn't. Hopefully that's the truth. Donald Trump, I'm not sure where Donald Trump stands on Lena Khan, but I promise you it's not positive because Lena Khan was a Joe Biden appointee. So, of course, Trump's not going to like her. So we'll see what happens here. We will update you on this court case. This is one of the biggest domestic stories going on right now, and barely anyone's talking about it. It is interesting. ABC did a segment on, hey, he promised he'd lower prices. The Kroger guy promised he'd lower prices. I didn't hear much out of the corporate media when they admitted to price gouging beyond inflation. I didn't hear much in the corporate media then. But now, he promised he'd lower prices. Neat story. And guys, I will mention that I have a screening coming up in London, September 21st, London. I'm going to be screening my movie Left It Wall, which will be available to everyone soon. We're going to have more announcements in the coming months, but we are still finishing the screening series for Left It Wall. And the only UK screening and the only international screening for that matter is going to be happening in London on September 21st. I'll be there. I'm going to be doing a short stand-up set to open the night, screening the movie and doing a Q&A after. You can get tickets now at ronplacone.com. That's September 21st in London. And it's a matinee show, 3 p.m. So there's no reason not to be there. You still got your Saturday night. Get your tickets at ronplacone.com. There have been Status Coup fam at every show I've done domestically and internationally since 2022. Let's keep up that momentum. London, can't wait to see you. Tickets at ronplacone.com. And this is Ron Placone reporting for Status Coup, signing out.